Welcome back, Fright Night friends, to another episode of Scary Movie Fright Night. Sam's already laughing at me, which is a good sign. This week, our our episode, this
Our
episode,
episode
this,
is nothing to be laughed at.
this is nothing to be laughed at. This episode, we're talking about The Conjuring, and let me tell you,
My light
was
just
there?
went out.
Yeah, because that ghost is in your damn house. Hey Sam, what's that
Ooh.
behind you?
No. This is Scary Movie Fright Night.
A new podcast about two guys who just watch scary movies. I'm Chris, and I love scary movies.
And I'm Sam, and I hate scary movies. My body just shook. Give me the heebie-jeebies. No, don't. All you have to do is stay inside in your bed, and then you won't get murdered.
Okay.
And now you have that recorded.
And here we are. We're ready to go. But first, Sam, how's your week? Were you scared? Was it good? Was it bad? Were you happy? Were you glad? Were you sad? Sorry.
What is this, a Dr. Seuss book?
Yes. It's a Dr. Seuss podcast.
No, I had to tell you about something that happened this week. It was so embarrassing, but so of course I was like, embarrassing moment. I have to share it with the world on the show.
Yeah, we're all
So
ready for it. We're here for it.
you know that we've had like issues with our AC units in the
Yeah.
house. This
Yeah.
is already a very exciting story. I know. Hold on to your chairs. So we had someone who came out to clean the inside of the AC units,
Uh-huh.
and it took 2 days because we have 4 units, and it's a pretty intensive process. So he
Yeah.
was here for a while. So we were sharing, and I work from home, so we're sharing the space, and Zach is off at work, and he was kind of cute. He was actually really cute. In fact, I texted Zach when he first got here, and I was like, the AC repair guy is really cute.
Yeah.
And he would go outside to like clean out the filters and stuff, and he's like sitting right in front of my window, and I was
Yeah.
like, he's just sitting out there, right in my view, and he's just sitting there with his big arms cleaning the air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then at one point, I was coming through. I was going to the kitchen to like get a glass of water or something,
Yeah.
and was walking through the hallway in the
Because you
house.
were thirsty. Sorry.
Yes, I was very thirsty, and he was coming back in to go back to one of the units, one of the other rooms, and we like did that awkward thing where you like run into each other, you're like going in opposite directions, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like trying to go by, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, and I wanted to say, oh, you're good, but the only thing that came out was good. I just said, "Good," and just walked right by and went to get my water, and I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Good." Like,
Yeah.
it was so embarrassing. And then he, left, and he hasn't been back since, so I guess I didn't
Hmm.
make a good impression.
Oh, well, that rolls right into our episode today about scary movies.
Well, you know what? It does, because this movie was all about a presence in your home. Now, in the movie, the presence was unwelcome, but it is still. I lost my train there.
So Sam had a manly man in his house fixing his AC unit, and that was what he brought to talk about possession and people being inside your home.
That's the kind of ghost I wish I had, was AC repairman, a hot
AC
guy ghost.
repairman ghost. That was not the case in this week's movie, which was under the theme of paranormal horror. And so, as mentioned before, we're here to talk about The Conjuring. And as a reminder, last week the demon from this movie was shaking Sam's papaya tree, shaking his papayas.
That's right.
And now we're gonna find out how shook Sam is. Reminder: Sam's homework was to watch this in the dark and try to be scared and actually like put some effort in, and don't be like, oh, I just forgot that I have hot dogs in the microwave as it gets to the scary part. No covering your eyes. No, I don't know why you're heating up hot dogs, because they're a good movie snack. You're out of popcorn, you were heating up hot dogs, and you're like, I gotta walk away right now. And then the clap happens.
Your point is that Oh, don't do that. We're not trying to summon the demons back into the house.
Okay, we're digressing. We're like 100 minutes into this podcast, and we haven't even done our super duper quick recap. So, for those of you that haven't watched the movie or need a refresh, like I did, because I hadn't seen it since like 2013 or 14, here is our super duper quick recap. Sam, start the clock. The movie opens. It's 1971. Carolyn and Roger Perrin move into an old farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, with their five daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. That night, the children play a game called Hide and Clap, which I will never play because it's horrible and terrifying. A loud bang makes me jump out of my seat. I pee my pants. I change my pants, and one of the daughters finds an entrance to the cellar boarded up in the closet. Roger briefly inspects and goes to bed. Over the next couple days, various paranormal activities occur and scare the crap out of everyone. Doors open, they close, children's ankles get pulled while they're sleeping. All the pictures fall off the wall. All the clocks stop at 3:07 a.m. And Carolyn hears clapping and breathing when nobody's there. Stop playing hide and clap. It's horrible. Get out of the house. Then one night, the eldest daughter is attacked by a spirit that looks like an elderly woman. Carolyn then seeks the help of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Real people, real story. Lorraine, who's clairvoyant, senses that a particular evil spirit has latched onto the family. They decide that the house just might need an exorcism, but first, they need evidence and permission from the church. Ed and Lorraine find out that the house belonged to an accused witch who climbed a tree on the property, cursed all that would take her land, and proclaimed her love for Satan, and then committed suicide at 3:07 a.m. Ed and Lorraine return to the house with their team, and during a quick montage, they set up thermal cameras, alarm systems throughout the house in an attempt to prove the spirit has inhabited the house. The first night, nothing happens at all. The next day, they eat breakfast and have pancakes, and we almost forget that there are evil spirits running around. The next night, however, Cindy begins to sleepwalk, enters into a wardrobe, into a secret passage. After Cindy's pulled out, Lorraine enters the passage, falls to the bottom, into the dark, dark cellar. Under a table, she sees the spirits of all the people who the witch possessed and realizes the witch possesses moms to kill the children. After Lorraine escapes the cellar, she and Ed take their evidence to Father Gordon to try to get the exorcism permission from the church. Meanwhile, Carolyn steals her two daughters and goes back to the house while the rest of the family's at the hotel. Oh no, she's going to kill them. Ed and Lorraine rush to the house where they find Roger and a police officer struggling with Caroline as she tries to stab one of her daughters with a pair of scissors. There isn't enough time to call the priest, so guess what? Ed's going to have to do the exorcism himself. Carolyn screams in voices that are demonic. Her face switches back and forth between hers and the old woman's, and she spits blood everywhere. And then finally, after the exorcism taking place, it seems like it's all over and she stops struggling. Is it over? Nope. Meanwhile, Drew finds April hiding under the floorboards under the kitchen. He yells down and says, "Hey, look, I found the youngest daughter she was trying to kill." Well, then Caroline gets back up, runs up there, tries to get her daughter so she can kill her once again. Ed and Lorraine Warren, along with Roger, chase after her in order to try to stop her from killing her daughter. Caroline grabs a hold of April, but at the same time, Lorraine reaches down through the floorboards, grabs Carolyn's head. It's a weird scene. She tells Carolyn to remember how much her family means to her and remember that she loves them and how special they are and they mean the world to her. And finally, Carolyn fights through and overcomes the demon all by herself. If we would have just done that from the first place, it would have been a lot shorter movie. The scene changes to Caroline being helped out of the front door. Now, sunny morning. She comes through the threshold of the door into the sunlight and just seems to transform back into her normal self. Roger and Carolyn rejoice with their family in the front yard, embracing one another, knowing that it's finally over. Ed and Roger nod back and forth to each other, very cool, looking cool after all this crazy stuff happened. After they ward off the demon in the Perrin household, the Warrens return to their home. The scene cuts to Ed Warren entering his room of possessed objects and artifacts. He places the old music box from the house into an empty space on the shelf. Lorraine enters the room. They leave together, and after a few seconds, the music box starts playing on its own. The camera zooms into one of the mirrors in the music box, and the music slowly comes to a stop. The screen cuts to black, and the credits roll. The end.
Wow.
Yeah, in
Was
case you
about
didn't watch it, Sam, that's what happened.
That was about 3.5 minutes. Pretty good
Ooh,
recap.
that was kind of long. Yeah, well,
That's okay. I mean, it's no race.
I was trying to go for, I did pretty quick the first time.
Let's train to Busan. Yeah, you did go really fast. That was a fast
It's
train.
because it was a fast train. It was a fast train to Busan. This one was a slow conjuring of the what happened in the
That's
movie.
right. It was like a slow possession by a demon.
Okay. Yep. We're doing a great job. Um,
Well,
well, yeah, we needed that 3.5 minutes to go by to make everyone forget about your weird thirst story about the AC man who came to your house and possessed your thoughts.
that was good. That was good.
Yeah, thank you. I'm back on. Okay, so now everyone's caught up. Everyone knows what happened in The Conjuring. Everyone got the clap from this movie, and over to Sam. What are your thoughts? I'm excited to hear about it. Go.
This one really this movie scared me. This was the
Yes.
first time
Yes.
I know you're like celebrating like we found it. Like my adrenaline was spiked. I felt my heart rate was like overloaded. I was like I don't know how they did it. If it was just it was like the anticipation,
Mhm.
the sounds, like the sounds of the things that were there was a lot of jump scares. Like even okay, I was getting ready a few minutes ago for us to record this episode, and I watched like
Yep.
a 3-minute video of the real Lorraine Warren talking
Yeah.
about her life. They did like a little mini interview, and it was like in so they were cutting between scenes of her and then scenes from the movie. And
Mhm.
even though I've already seen the movie and I know all of everything that happens, there was a scene in that little 5-minute like highlight
Yeah.
that had a jump scare, and I literally fucking jumped out of my seat. Not even immersed in the movie, just watching a YouTube clip. It
Yeah.
made me jump. Like it was there was so much of that like anticipation for what was coming and then the boo gotcha that I just was like on edge the entire time. I was really scared. I was really scared. What did you think?
So I concur with your assessment. What I will say is this is the first movie this season that we have watched that actually gave me the scares, right? We've watched a whole different kind. We've watched ones that left me feeling weird, and we've talked through them all. And we watched Evil Dead Rise. That even though, and again, I just watched it again this last week, um, and I still love it. I honestly loved it even more watching it in a dark, like in the dark, um, and without all the people in the theater yelling
Oh,
and being
right,
crazy. Right, right,
right.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
But and I loved it even more. It gave me a little more creep feels when I was like enclosed and not in a theater in public, right? So I recommend, if you want to watch it, come on over. We'll grab some popcorn, watch Evil Dead Rise. But even that didn't like scare me. It didn't creep me out. It didn't like freak me out. But this one got me. Like this one,
Yeah.
and of course I'm watching because my wife doesn't watch the scary movies with me because she can't stand them. And paranormal movies also like are at the top of her list for scary. And so I'm watching with my headphones on, my Bluetooth headphones on the TV. And so when the jump scares happen, the audio gets loud and it hits me. And like I got my notebook in my hands and I throw everything. Okay, I didn't really, but I damn near did. So yeah, I think that this one wins the award for scare movie for me, hands down this season. To be honest, well done that almost 10 years later, it holds up that well. I just
I will
had
agree with
no.
that. Yeah. It didn't feel
Yeah,
I was almost surprised when I read that it came out when did it come out? 2013? Literally 10
13,
years
yeah.
ago? Yeah.
Yep,
I was like, "Oh, this isn't like a new movie. This is it's been a little while," but
it's been a while.
it didn't feel that way. It
Yeah.
didn't feel dated or anything.
No, and it held up, so much so that I didn't even remember, and we can get to this in a little bit. We talked about the jump scares, but the jump scares, I have a list of the jump scares because I started writing them down because it was like 30 some minutes in, and the first jump scare hit, and it scared the crap out of me.
What was the
Um
first one?
The first one here, let me pull it up. So
Yeah.
we'll run through these real quick. We're talking about jump scares, right? So it was like 40 minutes in, and that's when Carolyn's in the basement. I think there were jump scares before this, honestly, but these are the big ones that I found on this random website that's like where's the jump.com. Um so
I love
in
that
my
there's a
notes,
website dedicated to jump scares.
I actually find it kind of amazing. I should find other movies that are on this website.
Yeah.
So in my notes, I had 3 minutes in first jump. I don't actually remember what it was. I think it was, like, after they moved into the house and the girls heard, like, a really loud bang somewhere. But
Mhm.
but that one, again, with my headphones on, that got me first. But the big ones on this list were, and I think these are jump scare movements that literally scare the crap out of you. 40 minutes in, 38 seconds, when Carolyn's in the basement and she's at she's getting creeped out, she runs to the top of the stairs, and then the hands come out behind her and clap.
Was that before or after the ball throw?
That was
Isn't that what got her isn't that why she ran up the stairs? So
Yes.
she the
Yeah, so
door
that
slammed
was
behind
that
her.
same scene, but at the
Yes.
end of that scene.
That was the first time that I was like, "Oh, fuck, no, get me out of
When that
here."
ball through? Yeah.
Yes.
That whole
Yes.
basement scene. Yep. Yeah, so and then at the top of the stairs, it was like it was culminated for me, like, she's in the basement, the scary shit's happening, she's hearing stuff, and then the ball comes out, and then she runs up the stairs, and then
Yeah.
the hands come out. Yeah, that whole scene culminated with those hand clap. So I mean, a couple of the other ones listed here, which I think there are more than these, but when the monster appears on top of the girl's closet,
Mhm,
like
mhm,
when the sheet blows off the wash line and catches around a figure,
mhm.
when Roger leaves the room and the lady shouts, "Look what you made me do." When Lorraine pulls away the music box, revealing
The
the old lady
music
behind it.
box. Yes. Well,
When
that's what made me jump. That was the clip that wasn't even watching the movie, just the YouTube video, and that clip
Yep,
made me jump. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. When Lorraine's in the basement and she's under the table and she's seeing all the old possessed people that had killed their children, and then those legs fall down from the side of the table, hanging from above.
I thought the
Actually,
scene in the bedroom where they think that they're seeing they're like, "Why we see there's
oh
somebody standing right over there."
yes, yep,
That really freaks me out because one, the idea of like, is there somebody like the uncertainty of like, is there somebody in my house? That's really freaky.
right,
And then like as a child, that is such a real thing where
yeah,
where you think you see something, and so you start
yeah,
you're like asking your brain is trying to work it out. It's like, is there a person in my closet?
yep.
No, that can't be because I'm where's in my why would there be a person in my closet? But fuck, it looks like there's a person in my closet right now. That's
It's
really
like leaning on the, like, person under the bed, person behind the door, like, scared
yeah.
child in the room,
Yeah.
like,
And that was
on those things that, like, all children, I think, kind of get a little bit of that at some point, right?
yes, it,
Where
like,
yep,
unlocked those childhood memories of being scared in your bed. They did that under the bed thing, right? Where she turns and she looks and they,
she
like,
did.
turn the camera upside down. That was a
Yep,
pretty cool
yep, she
shot.
puts her head under the bed, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
which
like,
I every
don't
movie
look,
that does
don't
that, yeah,
look."
you're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But then, of course, that's not it. Well, and so talking about, like, what made this so scary, and it sounds like you'll agree, we'll see. But what they did such a good job of is that some movies that you watch, and I recently watched another movie, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole of what movie it was, but I was watching another movie, and my opinion of it was that they showed too much. And what I mean by that is in this
Oh.
movie, it's what you don't see that you know is there and that you know is coming, and that's what's scary. Like you see into the
Yes.
shadows and it's dark, and then the ball comes out, that scares the shit out of you. Like
Yes!
she's at the top of the stairs and you don't know what's there, and the hands come out, and that scares the shit out of you. When honestly, when the kids were in the room and they showed the elderly woman above the dresser, to me, less scary. Now you've
Same.
shown the being, and
Yes.
like
Yep.
it's creepy at first when you see
Yeah.
that there's a being up there, but had you, like, zoomed out to where, like, the image of the being was up there or the woman, and you didn't realize she was there until she started to move to where, like, she's been in the panel the whole time, but you didn't realize it, like, and it
Yeah.
comes to form,
Yeah.
that would've been scarier, and
Yeah.
so, I think that that's what made, like, the first half to 3 quarters of the movie more scary because all the
Yes.
stuff that you couldn't see was the stuff that was scaring you.
100%. I agree with that. I think that, in fact, in the back half, when they start like, when you start to see more of you get a quick glimpse of the demon, I guess, or different demons, or the witch, or whoever it is. You start to see on top of the dresser, and there's other, the boy in the background.
Yep,
And then
Rory.
yeah, what's his name?
His name was Rory. I don't know what I just remember that. Yeah.
Wow, well, that's a
Yeah,
good
he was a kid
detail.
that
I
yeah.
don't remember that
Yeah.
at all.
I don't remember anyone
Uh,
else's name, but I know his name.
Rory. Rory the dead boy. And then they start flying around the room, when they're getting attacked and
Yeah.
stuff. And then the whole exorcism scene with the sheet on her head and she's like
Mhm.
vomiting blood or whatever.
Yep.
That stuff actually was less scary to me because I feel like we'd made it over the threshold of the
R
unknown of like, oh my God,
right.
the anticipation of what's going to happen. Like, is there somebody in this house or is there not? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh no, now we know there's just a fucking demon. We just got to get it out. Like at that
Yep.
point, for me, the anxiety was gone
Yep.
because we knew what was happening.
Right. And I don't think for me all anxiety was gone, but it definitely wasn't the same.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
It was still like, are we?
Um,
Is she gonna kill the kid? Like, what's gonna happen? But
yeah.
the thing that had my
Well, and
adrenaline
the
pumping.
standard stuff that never gets to Sam started happening, and you're just like, "Oh, well, no big deal."
No big deal. It's
No
fine.
one
Just stab her
yeah.
with the scissors.
Yeah, moving on. I'm
Moving
over it. I'm moving
on.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Um,
good. It really unlocked like the real like thoughts that I think that's another thing that was interesting is that it's this was part of the paranormal theme, but
yeah.
a lot of what was in the movie there weren't like a lot of special effects. Do you know what I
True.
mean? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how
yeah,
they created these things. Maybe they were special effects, but it
right.
wasn't like
It
you were
didn't require
seeing
a lot.
anything visual. It was
Yeah,
just like banging doors and like loud sounds, and like they just used things that you could experience in real life.
yeah,
Like, for example, our front door, sometimes if you're not careful, doesn't latch all the way. And when I
yeah,
am not paying attention, if like the wind blows it open and I walk in the living room and it's just open,
yeah,
that freaks me the fuck out. I'm like, "Why is the
yeah.
door open? How long has it been open? Has someone come into this house?
I mean,
Th
it's
is
the
it
papaya ghost.
It's could be the papaya ghost. Maybe he's just trying to deliver papayas or clean the air conditioning. I don't know. But
Yeah,
either way, it still freaks me out to see the window open or the door open unexpectedly. Anytime
yeah.
there's like you hear sounds in the house or the light does something weird or
Mhm.
anything like that. So this movie, that's the point I'm trying to make. It was all very simple things that were happening,
Right,
unexplained things that were happening. It wasn't like blood gushing out of the walls and like crashing out of an elevator shaft, which was cool
right, right.
too, but it was a different thing.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree, and one of the things that I noted as well, which is funny because it's almost annoying, although I enjoyed it because I like scary movies, but, like, you knew it was coming. Like, the jump 9 times out of 10, the jump scare was coming, and you
Yeah.
knew it was coming, and they
Yeah.
focused in on it, and they focused, and you're like, "Oh my god, I know it. Here we
Something's
go,
gonna
preparing myself."
happen.
Still scares the
Yeah.
shit out of you. You still jump out of
Yes.
your seat, and you're still like, "Ah, it got me." Uh, but yeah. Yeah, no, well done. Well done to The Conjuring. I approve.
Maybe that's how it works. Maybe they know that they have to get you in the moment where you're like anticipating, you're like tensing up.
There's probably a bit of that. Yeah. There's
Oh,
probably a formula to it. Building you up and again leaning back to that like when his hands clap at the top of the stairs, right? You're thinking about everything that's down below her and then those hands come out from right behind her.
yeah.
Also, hide and clap. We should play it sometime
I
cuz
mean,
I feel like it's
okay,
my favorite pastime. Yeah,
we
no,
could
I'm not
try
playing that
it.
game.
I'll play
Yeah,
it.
we need a big house. We need a big house, and I need to hire someone to go into weird rooms and clap hands.
I'll play with you. We only get 3 claps.
Yeah, only
It's
3
like Marco
claps.
Polo.
Also, there were early signs. So when she was playing hide and clap with her daughter, first of all, you're playing it upstairs. That woman was about to fall down the damn stairs. But and she goes to that wardrobe and she's like, "I can hear you breathing in there." And then her daughter comes out from behind. Yeah, nope. Or like, oh, that was another one, right? Where like the hands just
The
come out
hands
of the
come through
closet.
the yep.
Yep, through the clothes and then clap. And you're just like, "Oh, what
I was
the
very
hell?"
tense. Cause
Yeah.
like yeah, like, cause you know something's wrong. So you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Something's gonna happen." I don't remember if there was a jump in that, but that definitely had me
No,
tense.
yeah, it was definitely tense and suspense. That's what I like to call it.
Tense and
Um,
suspense.
I mean, what's interesting is, it's pretty cut and dry. Like for a movie that scared us both and made us jump and all that, like I don't have a ton of like specific points and call outs. Like, we kind of called it out.
Well, I think what's interesting is that the people in the movie, the demonologists, was
Mhm.
based on those were real people.
Yep.
In fact, the wife, Lorraine Warren,
Right.
was alive when this movie was filmed. They've both since passed,
Okay.
which is why I really don't want to mock them too much,
Right.
because
Right.
I don't want them to come haunt me.
Well, I feel
Um,
like they wouldn't be the ones to come haunt you. They would
I
just
don't.
release all the demons that are tied to the things in their closet, and then they
That's
would
no
come after
better.
you. And then you and I wouldn't be friends anymore. I'd cut you off because I'm not ready for that.
I when
I'm not here
so
for it.
I was reading about them, and I'm just like, oh,
Mhm.
they lived very interesting lives. Like this was their whole life was like pursuing demons and
Yep.
ghosts and collecting items, and like this was who they were through and through. And I'm like, well,
Mhm.
that's very interesting
Yeah, it's a
career
choice.
choice.
Yeah.
And I have some thoughts about it, but I don't want to criticize because I don't want them to set their army of
Well,
demons against me.
I mean so obviously, right? So she's gifted. She's clairvoyant. So she feels a certain path in that.
Uh huh.
and there obviously is a religious tie to it, right? Like, so that, like she said in the movie, God brought them together for a reason, and that reason was to be tormented and to get the shit scared out of you. My motto in life, this is not real, is the only way to really know you're alive is to be scared shitless. That's I I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says, "Only know you're alive if you're scared." No, not that's too many words, but you get the point.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
like that
probably
you had to
their life
clarify it.
motto. They're helping
That
people.
is. I think they did genuinely believe that they were helping people. That's definitely the vibe that I get when I
Yeah.
listen like, I watched that interview with Lorraine.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, just very it was a different time. It was a
Different
different
time.
time.
Different
I do have
time,
some
different
kinda
rhyme.
interesting trivia about the 2 of them and about the movie in general that I wanted to share.
Okay. Okay.
First was that she was, a consultant in the filming of this movie, and she has a
Oh,
cameo. Yeah,
does
one of the
she? Who's
scene
she?
yeah, yeah. She, played the doll. She played the Annabelle doll. No, I'm just kidding.
You well done. I'm like, "Wait a minute,
Which
that doesn't
doll?
make sense." I'm literally no, I knew you meant the Annabelle doll, and I was really confused as to how
Uh,
anyway, sorry.
that's her
So,
face that they made the doll look just kidding, just kidding.
lies.
I'm just kidding, Lorraine, don't come after me. So no, in one of the scenes where they're giving one of their speeches, remember how they would,
Mhm.
like, stand on stage and give a speech?
They were
She
standing
was
on stage and giving
sitting
a peach.
and giving a speech. Yes, wow, I'm losing it. Maybe I've already
Yeah,
been
just so
possessed.
everyone knows, we're recording this on a Friday evening, and Sam and I both have had a relatively long
It's the end
week,
of a
and
long
so
week. Yeah,
yeah, we're a little delirious. So anyway,
yeah.
so she was standing on stage and giving a peach. Go
There we
ahead.
go. And Lorraine was front row in the audience.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. When they were like in
Just an
the yeah,
audience
yeah,
member.
okay.
It was like a passing
Okay.
scene. I don't think she had a line or anything, but she's on screen for a
Well,
moment.
that's cool. And so she
Yeah.
was a consultant, which is interesting. So,
Yeah. I
so
very
that,
much
gives
wonder.
a little more true feeling
Makes
to
it
it, I guess, right? You know,
yeah.
when because you never know when it's like based on true events, right? They're like, "Oh, Ed and Lorraine Warren were real and they had an Annabelle doll," and then the rest is all just made up. But like these are,
Yeah.
from the records of from their records and recordings and things.
That's true. This was a real
Yeah.
house with a real family.
Yep. Well, and we saw images, right,
Yes.
in the first couple minutes of the credits, right? They show newspaper clippings and but the black and white photos of the family and the Warrens and stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was interesting. Yeah.
So apparently 8 generations of families lived and died in this house. These are all
8
my
generations?
8 generations of families. That's kind of I
Goodness.
guess 8 different families lived in this house. Lived
Oh,
and
okay,
died
yeah,
in the
yeah.
house. Yeah. All of my trivia facts come from IMDb, by the way. That's my, source.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
So that was 8 generations of families before the family in the movie, the parents, moved in.
Oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
so the thinking was that some of these spirits were from those families, and these were all of the different deaths that had happened in the house. There had been 2 suicides, a
Okay.
poisoning, a rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl,
Oh god.
2 drownings, and 4 men who froze to death.
Wait, 4 men froze to death?
Yeah, I don't know how, like in
Well,
the
of course.
lake
So first of all,
or yeah.
no, they froze to death, Sam, because the cellar was boarded up, and that's where the heating element was. The furnace was downstairs, and in a dire winter situation,
Right.
how are you supposed to get warm? Also, why'd you
Yes.
buy a house if you didn't know where the furnace was? Just a thought.
I
Whatever.
mean, they
Moving on.
clearly didn't do a home inspection or any sort of inspection because they
That's
clearly
true.
would have discovered that all
That
of
is
this
true. I
stuff
mean,
had
they got it on
happened.
the cheap. They got it on an auction. They probably didn't get a chance to do any of
Oh,
that.
that's
But 4
true.
men froze to death. That's that's
Right?
crazy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. And maybe
A
it was
lot
like
of
in the
shit
winter
going
in the
on.
lake or something. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
New England, so, it gets cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a fun place to live. No, thank
No,
you.
no. I
No.
mean, the land looked nice until you found ghosts and dead people.
I feel like I've driven through the countryside and seen houses that look like this, and I'm
Mhm.
sure some people would be like, "Oh, look, a beautiful country home," and I'm immediately like, "That shit is haunted as fuck. I am not living there."
Yeah, you
What?
just need to get a little sage and, like, clean it out or something. If they just
Wow.
woulda saged it and, like, been like, "Oh, ye spirits, please go away." Or what you do is you do the patented Chris Ferris defense mechanism, and you say,
Oh,
"Hey, spirits, let's be friends because I don't wanna be scared of you." And then you become friends with them, and then you just imagine that
yes.
they're there talking to you at nighttime, and then the real stuff
Yes.
doesn't happen.
There
Yeah.
you go.
And then you
Exactly. I
never
like
actually
that.
grow up and mature. Yeah.
I like that method. Sometimes I put them to work. I'm like, "Hey, spirits, don't you wanna help me, vacuum the floor?"
Yeah.
And
It's
they
like the end
happily
of
oblige.
Beetlejuice, you know? It's like the end of Beetlejuice. You got the spirits in the
Mm,
house, like,
I
cleaning
haven't
up.
seen it.
You
This is another
okay.
Rob Zombie moment.
Okay, well, this is not a Rob Zombie moment because it's Beetlejuice, but we're not gonna waste
No,
time. I'm
no,
not gonna
no.
get down a rabbit hole
No, no, no,
about
I mean,
Beetlejuice,
it's
but
the moment where I don't get the reference, because I am uneducated.
that's fine. Well,
Yeah.
I I don't think we're gonna watch Beetlejuice for maybe we'll you know what? Maybe we'll do a bonus episode or something with
Okay,
Beetlejuice.
okay. Yeah.
They're making a sequel. Anyway, I'm digressing. Moving on. What were you
It's still
saying?
interesting. It's still good.
I mean,
Okay,
it's kind of
so
a scary movie, but not really.
yeah.
It's about dead people, ghosts.
I mean, oh, we could do like a fun scary movie category. Let's
Oh,
park it.
yeah,
We'll think about it.
yeah. Back the car
S-
into the spot, turn the ignition off, unload the
yeah,
groceries, and move on. Yeah, it's parked.
exactly. Parked, car parked. Um, so there was some interesting trivia related to you and me because you are in the Navy. I was in the Navy.
Yeah, yeah,
Ed
yeah,
Warren, the demonologist in
yeah, yeah.
chief demonologist, he enlisted in the Navy at a
As
very
a
young
as a
age.
a demonologist mate.
Well, I don't know what his rate was, but
Mm,
maybe that was a thing. Maybe. Well,
yeah,
you wanna hear what's really creepy about his experience in the Navy?
I do.
That would've been awkward if you had been like, "No, no thanks."
I,
So he served in World War II. He served on a ship, and the
mhm.
ship that he served on sank in the North
Oh,
Atlantic, but he survived,
okay,
and, returned to the States, and
right.
that was after that that he met Lorraine, and they married, and then the war ended, and he didn't was no longer in the Navy after that. But
Okay,
isn't that crazy that the
that is
ship that he
crazy.
I mean, he survived, but obviously, I'm sure a lot of people that he served with
Yeah,
did not survive.
that's pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy. Imagine if he was married to Lorraine before that, and like all sorts of feels she would have had during
Sh
that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like they both maybe always had this sort of fascination with
Hmm.
death in the afterlife and speaking to people beyond, and that definitely seems to be part of who they were. They had the
Right.
museum
Right.
together where they started collecting items, and this was like in their home.
Yep.
And it was, they did thousands of investigations into demons, and trying to help people who were, felt like they had things in their home. So
Yeah. Well,
um
and I appreciated, that reminds me, I appreciated that scene that they put in the movie, where they're helping out the one family that heard noises there in their attic, and it kind of validated them, right? And they're like, well, you're standing right here, and then it creaks. So when the water
yeah,
flushes through the pipe and it heats up, the wood creaks, and you hear it because the sound travels through the pipes, and you're hearing whatever. And so it kind of validates them as like, oh, they're not bullshit, and they're also not here to like make people think there's something
create,
going on if there's not. Like they're not here
yes,
for money, right? They're not
right,
they're not here to rip people off. They're here to help people, and they're like, yeah, this isn't a thing. And
yeah,
so that was a good way of like validating them, so that when they go in and she starts feeling things, you're like, oh no, she's really feeling this because it's
yeah.
real.
I mean, if I had an unfriendly ghost in my house, I would probably want someone who really believes in ghosts and knows a lot about them to be the one to come tell me that that's no, it's not a ghost. It's just
Hmm.
you forgot to close the door. You ding
True enough.
dong. Yeah.
You ding dong.
They started the New England Society for Psychic Research,
Hmm.
aka NESPR. I don't know if they call it that, but I like the
Oh,
acronym.
I
And
like it.
it's still exists to this day. It's still
Oh wow.
being run by their son-in-law, and there's a whole staff of people who do consultations and probably exorcisms and those kinds of things.
Interesting. I'd be curious to see, because there's, I think 2 sequels to The Conjuring, don't quote me on that, at least 1, but
Hmm.
I think there's no, I'm pretty sure there's 2 Conjuring sequels. Uh, so I'm wondering, first of all, I'm not sure when, Lorraine passed away, but, I wonder if there's any sort of consultation done by the Nesper,
Yeah,
or if it's, or where that falls into
if
play.
the
But anyway,
connections are,
just
yeah,
curious.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
well,
That's true.
yeah, and to be clear, right? There's I think 2 Conjuring sequels, but then there's other like spin-off ones because there's an Annabelle movie and
Right.
there's another movie. Anyway, I digress. But yeah.
I think, if in future seasons of Scary Movie Fright Night, I'm assuming that we probably won't get to another movie in the Conjuring universe before the end of this season, but we
Hmm.
should totally revisit because you're right. I would like to see, are all of these movies like the same level of scary? Do they all treat like demons in the same, like I would love to understand this universe a little bit
Yep.
deeper and understand the
Yeah.
connection. Because you go to the website for the New England Society for Psychic Research, and there's pictures there of the actual Annabelle doll.
Oh,
And that
cool. Of
yeah,
the
and
real
that
one, yeah.
of the real one, yeah, and that YouTube video is telling you about where Lorraine, Warren was doing a little interview.
Mhm.
She walks you through their home. You can see their museum and all of their objects. Actually, I think they had, Necro Nom Nom. What is it called?
They did not have a Necronomicon there.
No, they did, I swear. I'm gonna send you the video so you can
Okay.
watch it.
First of all, uh, I'm gonna circle back to the fact that Sam and I are a little delirious this evening because not 30 minutes ago, maybe an hour, Sam sent me the video and I watched it. He's forgotten that he sent me the video, but you already sent me the video and I watched it. I am
You
gonna go
didn't
back and see
see
if
the
there's a Necronomicon
It's
though.
in
No, I
there.
was just paying attention to the fact that the Annabelle doll was definitely different than what the movie portrays. But,
Yeah, yeah.
but also that it was still, I mean,
You heard her
you got to
say
make it
she
look. Yeah, she was like,
yeah,
"I'm not gonna stare at it." She's like,
not
"I'm
looking
not gonna
at it.
stare at this doll."
She was like, "Don't
Uh,
touch it and tell me if you do."
yeah, for
Did
real.
you hear her say that? I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh
yeah.
god."
She like you, just
Okay.
like she, like seemingly like she tensed up in that room, right? Like it was interesting.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to look for the Necronomicon doll. Nope, Necronomicon book. Because I think you're a
Necronomicon doll.
liar.
Okay. Well, let me know when you see it. I would make you bet, but I'm like, I'm gonna win, so I won't make you do that.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool.
Okay, okay. So, I've got two more trivia facts for you. The next one is that when this movie was shown in the Philippines, and I don't know anything about the Philippines. I don't know if they're like more religious there or what, but basically,
Okay.
some of the movie theaters hired
Yeah.
priests to bless
Interesting.
the viewers before they watched the movie because people had complained about the negative presence after watching the movie. So they blessed the viewers, and then they also provided spiritual and psychological help to people who had watched the movie.
Oh, wow. Well, and what I will tell you, I knew this off the top of my head, but according to the 2015 census conducted by the Philippine Statistics Authority, 79.5% of the population was Roman Catholic. I did not know that off the
Ah,
top of my head. I definitely looked it up, but I knew that there was a high percentage of Roman Catholic.
thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, yeah. But I knew there was a relatively high percentage, so that probably correlates.
Yeah. I didn't really know anything about exorcisms, and the connection
Interesting.
to the Catholic Church, but I was
Oh,
talking
okay.
to Zach before this, and he was saying that in real life,
Hmm.
exorcisms do have to be done by ordained priests. So
Yep.
the whole
Yep.
thing during the movie where he was like, "I can't do it. I'm not qualified." Like that's a real thing. It's
That's
actually
a real thing.
considered yeah, it's considered dangerous for a layperson to just
Hmm.
do an exorcism.
Well, and I
Um,
think that we'll have to feed that into future. There's plenty of exorcism movies. One of the all-time like classic horror movies that people the generation ahead of us, to include my mom, right, that freaked them out, was The Exorcist, right, which is exactly about a possessed girl. And like it's an all-time. It shows up on all-time
mhm,
scariest movies of all time, right? So
mhm,
anyway, so maybe again, as you mentioned, we probably won't get it to it this season because we're coming to a close soon. But in the future, there's definitely room for exorcism theme. I think that there's
yeah,
plenty of options to choose from
yeah,
to
yeah.
educate you on to exercise your exorcism knowledge.
I want to be ready in case I have to do an emergency exorcism. It's like doing CPR. Like you
Mm,
probably shouldn't do it if you're not trained, but like if in a life or
yeah,
death situation,
well,
I'll
it's
jump
true.
in. I'll jump in. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know
you
Latin.
need your Bible, you need, 10 to 12 crucify.
Mhm.
You need some holy
Mhm.
water, you need an AED, and you just need to know how many chest compressions versus how many breaths. Other than that,
Okay.
like, that's really all you need to know, yeah.
I think I
And if
could
they are vomiting out weird green stuff, that's not when you do the breaths. You should be doing chest compressions during that time. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll get you educated. We'll get you exorcism certified, for the future.
Ooh, can you imagine if I was trying to do a CPR and exorcism at the same time and the demon went out of their mouth and into my mouth? Ugh.
I mean, that's probably what would happen, and then I would leave and never come back. Sorry.
That's okay.
Hashtag good friend.
Good friend. Let's see. What was there any other fun trivia about the exorcisms? Okay, apparently it is true that they have to get
Was
approval
there
from the
anything else
church.
was there anything else fun about exorcism?
Yeah. Yes, it could be fun.
Yeah. We could have an
The
exorcism party. No.
we could. I have plenty of demons that we could work on exercising.
Oh, we've gone through a couple of them. If you haven't listened to the Midsommar episode, go back and take a listen. Anyway, sorry.
That's good. That was like an exorcism. Thank you. You didn't know that you weren't like ready for that, but sometimes you just gotta be ready for the unexpected.
That's true.
Here's the last thing I'll say about the movie. We kind of talked about this already a little bit in that there
Mhm.
wasn't gore or blood.
Right.
So there was no so the movie was rated R, but
Yeah.
there was no sex, there was no nudity, there was
True.
very little profanity.
Yep.
There was mostly bloodless violence. Like we saw people
Yeah.
being like thrown around the room, but we didn't see any like guts or gore or anything like that.
Yeah, really
There
the
was
blood the blood she spit out of her mouth into the sheet was
oh
probably, like,
yeah,
the
that was
only but you didn't really see the blood, you saw it,
yeah,
like, from the inside.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
just a little
so
red
there
sheet.
but that's a good point.
Yeah, there was very little alcohol, no smoking. So any of the things that you think would trigger an R rating were
Yeah.
not there. It was just because the scare factor of the movie,
Yeah.
they gave it an R rating.
That's good to know, that's interesting, and I should consider that, and to be perfectly transparent, I haven't really paid much attention to ratings in the past, like because
Mhm.
we're in the horror genre. Some are going to be PG-13. Some, like Megan, are going to be made PG-13 because of TikTok virality. That's not a word, is it? Anyway, viralism, viralation. Anyway,
Hmm.
I like to invent words, but I don't really pay that close of attention, particularly when I'm picking three different movies and a theme. I don't know which one you're going to pick, but that's worth noting. If it's only rated R based on the scare factor, I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive that the people that rate those movies were
Yeah.
like, the
Well,
only
because you
thing that
remember when
yeah,
we were talking about Megan and how they wanted it to be PG-13 so that more people could watch it, so they cut a bunch of
yeah,
stuff out of it. But I guess they did release a different, like an uncut version of it that maybe we should go back and watch or something at some
yeah,
point.
I'd be curious. But even that one is already gorier and bloodier than this, right?
Yeah, true.
But less scary. But got that sick dance moves, so it balances out.
Yeah, I didn't see any good dance moves in this one. I didn't
I
see any
didn't. I'll have to
dancing
go back and
demons.
look.
Yeah,
No Dance of the Demons. That's gonna be
yeah.
our Halloween party theme. Dance of the
That's what I would
Demons.
that's what I would do differently if we were to remake the movie, as I would add some dancing.
That makes sense. Yeah, the
Yeah.
2024 version starring, Sam and me,
The papaya ghost.
and the Papaya Ghost. Actually, we could film it in your current house, and it's a ghost of no, I don't know
Wait,
what we're
let me
talking
ask you
about.
this. You see the salt lamp
Call it
behind me? I know that if you're listening to the show, you this isn't gonna work, but can you see the salt lamp behind me?
well, it'll work if you post a reel about it,
I could post a reel, but
and
you
it'll be, like, super meta now because we're talking about it in the reel that you're gonna post. Anyway, sorry, I see the salt
right.
lamp behind you. Yeah, yeah,
Does it
yeah.
look like it's like vibrating? Does it look like it's like flashing a little bit?
It does look like it's flickering a little bit.
You see that flickering?
Yeah, is that the salt lamp ghost?
So it's not flickering in real life. Let me just say that.
Oh,
Let's see,
that
it's
means you
going.
have
It's really
yeah,
going right now. You see
that
it?
means you have bad Wi-Fi. No, I'm just kidding.
The Wi-Fi ghost.
Yeah. It is flickering though.
Do you think
I
there's
bet
somebody in the room with me right
well, I
now?
saw a hand come out of it a little bit ago. I just didn't wanna tell you.
No, no,
Yeah.
you didn't.
Actually, wait a second.
No. Is he hot
Oh,
though?
man.
Is he hot?
No, no, it's definitely a decrepit hand.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 2 hands.
no.
It's gonna give you the clap.
Just give me a hot
Um,
ghost.
maybe next time.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
gonna
anyway,
find you a scary movie with a hot ghost.
do you believe in ghosts?
I don't disbelieve in ghosts. I should have known you were gonna ask this question. But I don't not believe. Honestly, I guess I kinda do. I don't really have I'm literally talking in circles, but I don't have like a firm belief one way or the other. But I believe that
Okay.
there are, there's probably some sort of energy left from beings, right? We're all creative energy,
Ah,
the world's creative energy, right? Like, so energy left after we're gone, like, sure, I could see that. Are there actual beings that are ghosts, or is it some sort of like energy that like that's left over from like so someone gets murdered, and I'm kind of spitballing this, but someone gets murdered and it's super horrifying, and there's lots of emotion and despair and sadness and whatnot, and all that emotion bottled up into some sort of like energy remnant that's left behind, that we someone can sense that energy and what created that energy, and so it appears to that person as some sort of a ghost. That's a possibility. I don't know if I believe that, right? But that's one way to look at it. Or maybe there's real ghosts. Um, what I'll say is I don't disbelieve because I at my grad school, there was a historic building, right? Um,
Mhm.
and I actually went there at midnight and I was like, it's the witching hour. I'm gonna go look for ghosts. And I went up to the tower and I'm like looking around and I'm like trying to look.
You
And
did that?
and so I guess and so that's the thing is I've never experienced a real
You didn't find a
like
ghost?
I did not. But I did find a guy sleeping in a chair down below the balcony, and at first when I saw him, I thought it was a ghost, but it was just a man sleeping in the chair. Uh, I think
Oof.
he was like staff or something, and he was like taking a nap. Um, there was one time when I lived in Washington State, and I had this little town home. I think that something happened. I wish my memory was better, but I think that like at one point, like a bunch of the cabinet doors like opened themselves. Um, but I didn't witness it. I think my mom was there, and I think there were other people there, and I think that someone else witnessed it. I don't know, but I've never been able to like actually witness something that made me say, "Yup, I knew it." But like I said, I've looked for it. I
Ah,
feel like I'm
okay.
receptive to it. Maybe they're just scared of me because they're like, "Oh, we ain't messing with that dude." But yeah. Anyway, what do you think? Yeah, I'm like the
I
ghost. I'm like ghost repellent.
You're a ghost repellent. You're
Yeah.
not a ghost repellent. I I I've never really I guess I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. I don't really
Yeah.
believe in ghosts, but I
Okay.
don't not believe in ghosts. I don't have any reason
Right.
not, but I have also never had any strange encounters. I'll
Right,
tell you that.
right. So it's hard to believe if you haven't experienced something,
Right. Right.
which means you
Maybe
and
some
I are
spooky
going ghost
moments.
hunting. No, I'm just kidding. Go
Oh, okay.
ahead.
Well,
We're going ghost hunting.
I'm
No,
sure we could go find some places to look for ghosts. You live in Pearl Harbor.
that is true. Also, it's like that. There's that one thing. I'm gonna butcher this, but when Zach sent us that one scary movie about Hawaii, and you go up to that place, and like the woman
Yes,
like
he sent us
possesses
a
your
scary
soul or
podcast.
something,
Yes,
and
and
we could go do that, but I might not do that. I
at
feel because I
the
don't want to.
Poly
I don't.
Lookout.
Yeah, I don't wanna go find a ghost that's gonna possess me and stick with me forever.
Yeah,
I just wanna go see a
yes.
ghost and be like, "Oh, cool, bro," and then
So
move
the
on.
Cool, bro. Thanks for hanging out and cleaning my air conditioner.
Yep.
Yeah,
Ghost
I mean
5.
this was yeah. Do you think it makes a sound if you high five a ghost?
Oh,
I don't
I don't
know.
know, but if you go through their hand and hit them in the face, are they gonna be offended? All these
They
things
might
we
be.
won't on our ghost
They might
hunting
be.
podcast, we'll have to discover and, come up with these
Yeah,
answers.
yeah. Well, I do have a couple ghost stories that I wanted to relay. Now, these weren't my experiences, but these are experiences that Zach, my partner, has shared with me, and I asked for his
Okay.
permission to share
Oh, they're
these.
his stories.
Yes,
Ooh, I'm
yes.
excited. I didn't know
I
I
have
didn't know you were
2.
bringing in, like okay,
Yeah, I have 2 stories,
okay.
and one of them is less scary and one of them is more scary. Which one do you wanna hear first?
Let's go less scary. I like to build
Okay,
up.
the build up. Totally. I totally agree. Okay,
Yep.
so this one doesn't really have a full plot, like beginning, middle, and end, but it's
Oh,
just
so it's not as good. Got it.
not as good, but still fascinating. I was like, I think we should share this. Cue the scary music. So this was when he was a
Bum ba bum
child.
bum bum. Oh, sorry. That's not the scary music.
Wrong
Go ahead.
scary music. The other scary music. Okay. When he was young, he lived in an old house in Maryland, and creepy things would happen in this house constantly. For example, doors would slam on their own. One time he woke up and had a very strong, overwhelming smell of toast, like burnt
Mm,
toast,
mhm.
that well, he wasn't having a heart attack. Apparently that's a sign of having a heart attack, but he was a child. And nobody was making toast. There was no toast in the kitchen. Nobody was cooking anything, but he had the strong smell. And one time in this house, his mom heard him walking up the stairs. She's like walking up the stairs and she hears the footprints like coming up each or the footprints, the sounds of the footsteps
I
coming
knew
up the
what you meant.
stairs.
Yeah.
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 And then she turns and she looks and nobody is there. And she's like, "What? Who did I just hear coming up the stairs? No one's there." So that was the first one. That was the old house that just had mysterious things
Okay.
happening in it,
I
which
mean, it was probably the creaky floors and the pipes, upstairs. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't
For the
know.
record, before we get to the second one,
Yeah.
I literally typed into the Google, search box,
Oh.
"smell of burn," and it auto completed toast.
Toast.
Yeah, burnt toast. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say. And it says smelling burnt toast is a common type of phantom smell. It can be a sign of a serious medical condition. If you smell burnt toast, even if the smell is only temporary and comes and goes, see a doctor for diagnosis and treatment.
A
Anyway,
phantom smell, like you're smelling a phantom?
no, it's like you're smelling something that's not really there,
Like a ghost.
or like the ghost of the toast. Anyway, toast ghost.
Oh, that's good. A ghost
Okay,
toast.
yeah. Second,
Okay,
second story. Second one scarier than the first.
okay. So for this
I'm
one,
ready.
Chris, you gotta pull up your britches.
Okay, yeah. Well, I hope people get
Okay.
the reference because my britches were down. Moving on.
Yeah. So Zach has no recollection of this story. The only reason that he knows about it is because his mother has told him this. He was 5 years old and he was hanging out with a friend of his. And Zach's dad and his friend's dad were both on deployment together. And it's important to know that both of their dads were pilots. So Zach and his friend knew what flight boots were. So I guess
Hmm.
pilots have certain kind of boots that they wear when they fly, and they knew
Hmm.
what these boots were.
Right.
So his little brother was a baby and had a crib, and they were playing underneath their brother's crib, and his mom and his friend's mom are like in the other room, and they suddenly start screaming like bloody murder, and they run out from under the crib, they run to their moms crying, and they're screaming over and over, bloody flight boots, bloody flight boots, bloody flight boots. And the moms are like, what is going on? These kids are being hysterical. So they separate them. Zach's mom's trying to calm him down, and his friend's mom's trying to calm her down. And they both tell the same story, which is that they're playing under the crib and they see somebody walk in wearing a flight suit and flight boots, and they're covered in blood. They find out later, it turns out there had been a pilot who lived there and had died during the Korean War.
Hmm. Interesting. Um. So what you're telling me is that even though your boyfriend Zach knows that ghosts are real, you don't believe him
Well,
because he saw one when he was a kid, or
I
you're calling his mom a
but he
liar.
no. Oh, look at you stirring the pot.
I
You
know. I just.
what is this? Um, come on the show to be interrogated. Uh,
That's
no, he
exactly why you're here. No, I'm
first of
just
all, he
kidding.
doesn't remember. He has no
Okay.
recollection of this. He only knows this through
Well.
his mom. But
Okay.
I don't not believe in ghosts.
Right. Right.
I just don't have
No.
strong beliefs in ghosts. I
Well,
listen,
I think
if a ghost needed someone to believe in them, I would gladly give them a pep talk and say, "You can accomplish anything that you put your mind to."
that makes
But
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
don't I've just never
currently,
had
in
my
your
own experience.
experience, well, it's kind. I think we're on the same page. I think we're on the same page. I think that like, yeah, I think that we don't have anything to really say that like really experienced to give us that feeling.
Yeah.
So it's
The more
interesting.
important question is whether or not the ghost believes in himself.
That's true because it's all about self confidence. That's no, it's all about self confidence. Ghost. No,
We're
never
grasping
mind.
here.
Okay, moving on. What else? What do you got? Scary time
That's
with
it.
Sam.
Those
Oh,
were all the scary stories. Yeah.
okay.
Those
Well, that's
the
perfect timing
Were you scared?
because we. Oh, for your
No.
stories.
Yeah.
Um, Less so because you were telling someone else's story. So I think,
Oh.
if you would have told it like when I was a kid and my dad was on deployment, I would have been like, first
Yeah.
of all, this isn't real. But because you were telling someone else's story, less scary. But I will
Yeah.
say, like me picturing that second story, I mean, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Pretty freaky. Pretty freaky.
I did invite
Um,
Zach to tell it himself, and he was like, "No, it's okay. You can relay the story."
okay. Well, that's good. We don't want him here anyway.
Oh,
I'm just
I do.
I'm just kidding. No, no, no. He's too tall for this podcast. Anyway, so it was scary. What's the rating? You know how I feel. Scariest movie that we watched this season. Um, yeah, it wins the scare award. On this episode, up to this current date. But where does it fall on your rating?
Drum roll, everybody. This
Sorry, that's A
This
mouse
is
drum roll.
it. This is the one we've been looking for. This is our 10.
Yes.
This
So
is
this is a
it.
10.
This is the 10 because of the adrenaline, because of the multiple times that I fucking jumped out of my skin and was telling the screen like, "No, don't go down
Th-
that
This
basement.
is jump out of skin 10.
Jump out of skin 10.
Yeah, this is 10 for the win. This
10
is
for the
like
win."
10 where you been.
I would like to propose a toast to the ghost.
Toast to the ghost, 10 for the win. Where you been? Free from sin, Sam.
Oh!
Yeah. Um, well, thank you everybody for listening to Scary Movie Friday Night. We have reached our 10, so this is the end of our podcast. Please feel free to like and subscribe all the
No!
previous episodes. And now
No!
podcast is over because we found it. We're not done.
No! There's more. There's so much more education that I need.
Oh, there
I
is
wanna
more
know
education.
what the next theme is.
There is well, before we get to that, before we get to the theme, I have
Yes.
one more thing to share. And we already
Okay.
talked about this briefly, but first of all, this is gonna tie in really well with the fact that this is a 10. I assume you recommend this. First of all, we didn't talk about it, but you recommend this movie to Team
Yeah.
Sam?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Of
Well, I
course.
mean I mean,
Not if they want to get scared to death,
if
but
you don't like watching scary movies, I just
just recommend it.
don't.
Just recommend it.
Just
Just recommend it. Just watch just watch it. If you're here, watch the movie.
No, if
Don't
you
watch
don't
High
wanna be
Life, watch this
scared
one.
if you don't wanna be scared, go start with, like, a Megan or,
Yeah.
geez, I don't know, one of the '80s movies or something. You can handle
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
If Yeah, that would be my recommendation if you don't wanna be
Okay.
scared. If you wanna be a brave bear, then,
Uh,
sure, watch The Conjuring.
Perfect. That's yeah, or watch it during the daytime with one eye open and you'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
So you heard it here, folks. It's a 10. Which I like I said, so the one last thing I wanted to share with Sam, and again, we briefly talked about it, but we actually have, a handful of people I think that are probably watching the movies and then following us very closely when the new episode drops. But one of my oldest friends hit me up on our Instagram. If you haven't found our Instagram, go to at Scary Movie Friday Night Pod and follow us because Sam posts some super funny reels. He usually finds the dumbest crap that I say and he clips it out, uh, adds
I get my
images to it.
revenge.
Yeah, and then he posts it. But applause to Sam for his real posting. But go check us out on Instagram. But one of my oldest friends, Jenny, was messaging me when episode 5 dropped about how she had just watched Evil Dead Rise, so she could listen to the episode, and so we chatted back and forth. And so at that point, Sam watched Evil Dead Rise and was like, I'm not very scared. I don't know what scares me. And so literally her feedback to me was like, I just watched Evil Dead Rise. I hoped you loved it as much as I did. Also, I can't figure out what scares Sam. So the fact that we had listeners saying the same thing that I was thinking at the time, like, man, I started this podcast and it was like, what actually scares him? And then I replied back. I said something along the lines of, well, spoiler alert, he does get more scared, but I still haven't quite figured out how to tap into scaring him instead of just making him feel really bad, like High Life and Midsommar. They gave you bad
Really
feelings and you rated
depressed.
them higher.
Well, I
Um,
wonder I wonder for people who don't like scary movies, if it's more because sometimes I dismiss them because I'm like, "This that was so stupid and I didn't get
yeah,
scared." So I almost wonder if you don't like scary movies, if it's better to start for something that is guaranteed to make you almost pee your pants,
maybe.
because maybe that's what you're actually looking for is like a true scary experience. I
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
no,
We should think about this.
well, yeah, and we'll see how it progresses over time, right? Because I think you're a little more open to it as you go into it. You kind of get yourself in the zone, like you sitting there and trying to be scared. I think when I go in and sit down and watch a scary movie, I want the lights off. I do it. I want the lights off. I want it to be dark because I'm trying to experience the the fear or whatever. And that's why Evil Dead Rise. I wanted to watch it again with the lights off and without people yelling because I just want to like see how it felt. For whatever reason, I'm not alone. Obviously, there's a bunch of people that follow the genre and enjoy it. Whatever it is inside us, it's not like it's adrenaline, I don't think, but anyway, so it's just really funny that I just had this conversation with a friend, and that here we are. You found number 10. We found what scares Sam. We're gonna keep going. We'll see what happens in the future. Um, but that's makes me feel good inside. I can sleep well tonight knowing that I've scared Sam.
I'm so glad
Really, you
that
scared
brings you
yourself.
joy.
Yeah, you picked the movie. But
That's true.
without further ado, like we do, moving on to the next movie for you. It's another Dr. Seuss moment. I'm sorry. I don't know. I
It's
can't
okay.
control it. Okay. So the theme for this next week, as we get close to wrapping up the season, um, there's a little bit of overlap with this one, slightly, but I don't think that it really does. But we're continuing to push forward into uncharted territories. So the theme for next week or next episode is witches.
Witches.
Witches. Witch. Haha, witch. Right. So the spirit in the Conjuring was a witch, although it wasn't really about the witch, it was about the paranormal experience. Obviously, these themes can have overlap, et cetera, et cetera, et
Sure, sure,
cetera.
sure, sure. Yeah.
But we decided, I decided this was kind of an untapped territory that we should definitely cover this season. And that, I think has potential of being slightly different than paranormal, but having some overlap. So I picked this before I knew, of course, that The Conjuring was a 10. So yeah, so we're
It's okay.
gonna go
It's
into
okay for us to have
witches
overlap.
territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first movie, the first movie came out in 1993. It's called Hocus Pocus, starring Sarah Jessica Parker, Bette Midler, and no, we're not doing Hocus
That's
Pocus.
that
I
one.
mean,
I picked that one.
and Kathy and Jimmy. Hold on.
Is there a second option gonna be Hocus Pocus 2?
After moving to Salem, Massachusetts, teenager Max Dennison explores an abandoned house. We're not doing Hocus Pocus. This is real witches.
Oh,
You know what they say? Witches get stitches. Nope, that's actually not what they say.
witches
Okay.
give stitches is more
Yeah,
like it.
that's very true. So for the first movie, so for these movies, I'm not going to tell you the year because there
Okay,
is
okay.
some disparity between the year. Some are newer, some are older, some are in between, obviously, because there's three of them. So that's math. But I'm not going to tell you the year because I don't really think it plays in. I think the older of the three, you may be able to figure out, but I think it holds up. And so it's also, worth watching. So first one on the list is the Blair Witch Project,
Ooh, I remember when this
which
came out. So
I
scary.
do too. Fun story about this. When this came out, people were sure it was real. I'm not going to tell you anything further. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. You'll have to listen and find out. But for the listeners out there who have not seen this movie, here is a synopsis. Found video footage tells the tale of three film students who travel to a small town to collect documentary footage about the Blair Witch, a legendary local murderer. Over the course of several days, the students interview townspeople and gather clues to support the tale's veracity. But the project takes a frightening turn when the students lose their way into the woods and begin hearing horrific noises. Turns out the witch is just really a nice lady that baked them some cookies. They have some cookies, they go home and have a good old time with their friend the Blair Witch. That's the first one.
Did she live in like a gingerbread house?
She did, yeah. The cookies were actually made of. So she had cookies that were made of Hansel and Gretel, and she also had meat pies that had. Anyway, we're not going to go down the Midsummer road, but she offered them
What?
pink lemonade and meat pies.
Oh, pink lemonade. Yeah, I remember that. Well, this is what I know about the Blair Witch Project. So I've
Hmm.
never seen it, but I do remember when it came out and that it
Yep.
was one of the first like found footage type
Right.
films, right? That
Yep.
make it feel like it's real because it was someone was running around on their phone and there's just like the glow of the phone on their face or whatever. It's like
Hmm.
night vision
Yep.
scenes. So it just feels real and
Yep.
fucking scary.
Well, and I think that without going into detail, because of that, you don't see a lot, right? You don't see everything,
Oh,
which kind
which
of ties into what we
reminds
said
me
about The
of
Conjuring.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what you
Ooh.
don't see is what scares you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Alright,
In
cool. What's number 2?
So number 2 is called The Wretched. Came out in I didn't tell you who was in the other movie. Blair Witch had Ray Hance, Joshua Leonard, and Michael C. Williams. Anyway, second one is The Wretched. I'm not going to tell you the year because again, I'm not doing it. Starring John Paul Howard, Piper Curda, and Jameson Jones. And here is what this wretched movie is about. A defiant teenage boy struggling with his parents' imminent divorce faces off with a 1,000-year-old witch who's living, beneath the skin of and posing as a woman next door. He goes next door, the woman bakes him some cookies and a meat pie, and then he goes home feeling better about how his parents still love him even though they won't be together.
I think
Again,
all these witches are kind of sweet, making cookies for everybody,
they're
and
just misunderstood. It's the classic tale of a misunderstood old woman who everyone's scared of, but really she's just there to bake you cookies.
yeah, I feel like we shouldn't be
Yeah.
prejudiced against old people just because
Also
she's a
funny
thousand
that
years
both of these
old.
movies. Well, funny that both of these movies are just about a woman that bakes cookies. I didn't realize that when I picked them out, but weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She kinda makes me think of the red woman from Game of Thrones, you know, who was, like,
Mm-hmm.
40,000,000 years old, but
Yeah.
made herself look young and beautiful. But you
Yeah.
know
And
what?
she would give her cookies to everyone.
She did give her cookies to everyone. Yeah, okay, wow, 1,000-year witch, she probably has a lot of wisdom to share.
Wisdom. Yeah. Yeah. A lot
She's
of
probably
wisdom.
seen a lot. I would love to ask her questions about what things were like, 1,000 years ago. Are you
Yeah.
happier living in this modern day and age with Wi-Fi, or would you prefer to go back to, the way that things were 1,000 years ago?
Yeah. Only
Okay.
who knows? Yeah.
Also,
Sounds
can I
like
have a
a
cookie?
Also, can I have a cookie? I think
Yeah.
the Blair Witch bakes chocolate chip, and if I remember correctly, in the Wretched, she bakes peanut butter. Yeah,
Ooh, tough
yeah. So if
choice.
if that
Chocolate chip
helps
or
you pick,
peanut butter? Okay,
I prefer
I'm
a mixture of both.
curious. I really want to know what the
Uh,
third witch bakes.
the third witch, it's spoiler alert, white chocolate macadamia nut. Um,
I
yeah,
love macadamia
yeah.
nut.
So this third movie, are we ready for number three?
Yeah, number three.
Number three, the title, very original. It's called The Witch. A little bit on the nose. Um, I'm not making this
The
up.
witch's
So it
nose.
Yep. The pointy
Sorry.
bent green nose. Anyway, warty nose. No, okay. Came out in a year, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, and Kate Kiki. And this movie is about a lot of cookies. I'm just kidding. No, the synopsis is this about the witch. In 1630 New England, panic and despair envelops a farmer, his wife, and their children when the youngest son, Samuel, suddenly vanishes. The family blames Thomason, the oldest daughter, who was watching the boy at the time of the disappearance. She was probably getting a cookie or taking a nap or something. With suspicion and paranoia mounting, twin siblings Mercy and Jonas suspect Thomason of witchcraft, testing the clan's faith, loyalty, and love for one another. At the end of the day, the family just needs to come together and tell Thomason that they forgive her for the death of her brother and not doing a good job of babysitting, and that she will never earn an allowance again, and she will forever wish that she had been a better babysitter, and she will be miserable for the rest of her life and feel good about it.
What?
That was kind of a long synopsis.
Yeah, what the hell? Oh, wait,
I don't know.
twins? This
I
movie
went down
has
a rabbit hole.
twins? There's nothing scarier than twins.
There's nothing. Well, you didn't think the Shining twins were scary, but
That's true. I didn't really. I was like, ugh, whatever. You
except for
guys are
when they
trying
were
to.
like dead on the ground, that was a little bit
I was fine with it. I was
disturbing.
like, oh, y'all are kind of annoying. That's terrible. Is this the
Yeah.
one that is spelled like with two V's? Like the
Uh,
Vitch?
do you know how to spell the word witch?
No. Wait, but do you know what I'm talking about? I swear
Yes,
there's a
it
movie
is.
that
It is that one. Yeah, yeah.
okay. Is it just that
Which
way on
is
like the
funny.
poster, but not actually if you like it's not actually spelled with two capital V's?
No, it's a double V. Get it? Like a W, but with
Yes, I
V's.
get it. Thank you.
No, yeah, it's just on the poster. It's just on the poster.
Well, okay, so I've
Uh,
seen this I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard of it. I've seen it that it
right.
exists. And
Yeah.
I was always like, why did they call a movie The Vitch with two
Well,
V's?
because there's twin V's.
Oh, the twins.
I mean, maybe. I don't actually know if that's why, but maybe.
But it's actually the witch is what it just
It
took
is
me
the
a little
witch.
while to put two and two together. Put
Two
two
and two
V's
V's together to make a
together.
W, double
Yes.
V.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
double
Okay.
V. Okay.
But you
So
didn't say anything
so
about cookies. Did this one have
no, because I
cookies?
told you at the beginning. Oh,
Oh.
yeah. So after the end, when she's like in despair about her babysitting, she takes up cookie baking. She opens a bakery that specializes in white chocolate macadamia nut cookies, and then all of her family celebrates her bakery and the death of her brother that was her fault. White
Oh.
chocolate macadamia nut. So we're going chocolate chip, peanut butter, white chocolate macadamia nut,
Okay, those are my
witch
choices.
cookies.
Which cookie? Is this is the Vitch A24?
I don't think so, but let's find out.
Okay.
Um,
Or I feel like it's
W
part of some studio that we've watched something else from, 'cause I that's why I know that I've seen it, somewhere when reading an article or looking at a list of something. I don't remember.
The Witch is, in fact,
Yeah.
A24.
Yes.
That's funny. It's just a little bit older, so I wasn't actually tracking, that it was an A24 movie, which weird that this is, like, the 3rd one, on the potential, for this season. Yeah, The Witch is A24. Who knew? Who
I
knew,
I
Bugaboo?
did. I knew.
Well, you just because you became A24 obsessed after High Life and you were like, "Let me get some more of this weird."
Well, my oh, no. I forgot the High Life was A24. Also
High Life was A24 as well, yeah, and Midsommar.
and Midsommar. Well, my
Yeah.
favoriteest movie of all time, Everything
Everything
Everywhere All at
Everywhere All at
Once,
Once, yeah.
is A24.
We wouldn't need a podcast if we could watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, so, not the movie, I meant, like, the movies
Yeah,
everywhere.
no,
Yeah,
I got
sorry.
it.
You're like,
Okay, I
"Shut
have
up."
a decision. Are you
Oh, wow,
ready?
that was quick. Okay, I'm ready.
I choose Hocus Pocus.
Okay. Um, and then what else?
Oh,
Because that
we'll make it a double whammy. We get 2 movies,
ooh,
Hocus Pocus and then another one. Um,
I'm kinda I wonder which way you're gonna go with this. One of these movies I haven't seen, I'm not gonna tell you till after you pick.
mm, is it The Witch? Oh, you won't
I
tell me
don't
until
know.
after I pick.
I'm not gonna tell you which one.
Okay, that's what so far, A24, it hasn't let us down. Well, it kind of did with High Life. That one was kind of a bummer. But,
Yeah.
I like Anya Taylor-Joy. I've seen The Witch, I'm gonna keep calling it that, on
Yeah.
like, I've seen pictures and I've seen it in articles and stuff. I want that white chocolate macadamia cookie.
You're going for the witch.
I'm going for The Witch.
You're going for the witch. Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
good.
It kinda gives Midsommar vibes, like, aren't there goats and animals and shit in that one?
I
Is it
think so. I honestly so I have seen it. I hadn't seen The Wretched. I'd seen it pop up on some lists, but I have seen The Witch. I've obviously seen Blair Witch Project a billion years ago, and I've seen it a few times. I don't remember, but what I will tell you is that a certain person in your household was hoping you'd pick The Witch, and also he remembers it being well, I'm not gonna go down he remembers it being scary or freaky, but spoiler alert, I remember it, like, not really creeping me out, but that doesn't mean anything, right? So I'm curious this go around what you'll think, what he'll think watching again, what I'll think. Um,
Now
yeah,
that we've peaked at our 10, I'm wondering, like, how everything will stack up against The Conjuring. That's now my measuring stick.
yeah, that's actually really good, right? Because you have a 10, you have some that are definitely at, like 2.
Yeah,
And so, now you have something that like you will either one day match it
yeah.
or hopefully we will overcome it and find something equally or more scary.
An 11?
Um, well, I mean, if you think about it,
Super
like
spicy.
or maybe once you find something that's a new 10, like maybe it just becomes the 10.
Yeah, and
Maybe that becomes the new 10.
then we reset everything
Um,
else. Well, I
yeah.
the reason I am curious about this one is because I think a lot about Midsommar as a
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
Midsummer, however you wanna pronounce it. How do I express this? That the way the way the movie was made, it was kinda like Candyman.
Right.
It was made so well. It was just a well done movie. The music and the
Yep.
intensity of it, creepiness of it. I'm kind of looking for that again, and I feel like, and I could just be making assumptions because it's A24, and that could be
Right,
just a
right.
false assumption, but it's
Mhm.
giving me the same type of vibe in terms of the quality and the tone of the film.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see, because it's a darker movie, right? Darker in like, you know, the theme and like the just the imagery
Yeah.
feels darker, leaning towards high life because Midsommar was very bright and colorful.
Mm,
But that's the thing about these A24 movies. This will be kind of the balancing act and see which side of the fence does this fall. Because, with any, production company known for making a bunch of movies, people would say that some are better than others. Did you see what I did? Yeah.
oh, I see what you
It,
did.
it took me a while to work that one in there, but it's fine.
You did a nice
Yeah.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we should probably wrap because people got things to do,
Oh,
like
you want me
listen
to
to the
wrap?
next episode. Yeah. No,
Okay,
no, 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 I'm not asking you to rap. I meant, like, wrap up the episode.
I was about to rap.
You wanna talk about a real horror experience.
Listen to Chris rap. That's rude.
I'm
Rude,
sorry.
and I hope this
That
movie
was
makes you pee
mean.
yourself.
I take it back. I am really sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
It's fine. Yeah, well, now I'm not gonna wrap your present. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, Chris actually is
Alright.
really good at rapping. I've heard quite a bit.
Okay, well, Sam is telling us we need to go. We'll wrap it up, not to be confused with me writing a rap song, which I might just do anyway. So if you want to support our show, then leave us a 5-star rating, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or both. Leave us a review though. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from Team Chris and Team Sam, and like let us know. Was the Conjuring super scary? Did you like the paranormal stuff? Do you hate it? And which movie is your
Which
favorite?
which? If you're team Sam and you're not big on watching the scary movies and you're not gonna watch The Conjuring, here's what I want you to put in your review of our show. Tell me if you believe in ghosts or not and why. I think our reviews are gonna be really funny to read because they're not gonna be like, here's what I think about the show. It'll just be someone randomly being like, I do not believe in ghosts. Period. End of review.
Yep. Yeah. And on all teams, because you're gonna call me out again because I give them 17 things to do. But if you write Chris rap and we get, you know, 20 people in the comments saying Chris rap,
No.
I will write a rap about one of the movies we watch and I will rap it on air. But only if I get 20. So
Okay, there's
it's
your
up to you.
mission. 20
Yep.
comments. 20 comments on social media, anywhere, Instagram, any comment on any reel. I'll go count them up. And if we get 20, then you have to do a wrap.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I'll do
All
it.
right.
I'll do it.
Well, maybe
Well,
we should wrap it up.
oh, all right. So Friday night, friends, it's been a pleasure. Have a good night. Go watch The Witch and then see which one of us gets more scared next week.
See you next time. Should we do a little thing for the end?
Yeah, probably.
So I have this manual of prayer. I could do an exorcism reading.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Exaudi nos Domine Sancte Pater Omnipotens Aeterne Deus qui
Okay. If this is like Evil Dead Rise and some shit starts flying through my house, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh god, all the Latin nerds are gonna be like, that was terrible.